but you guys might be already playing it, which, if you are... Hey everybody, I'm Jammer, and welcome to a brand new era of Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch has launched last night, and I guess today, and as well as Breath of the Wild. It is out there. We are here, finally here, able to play... Oh yeah, I can't play this game yet because I'm, again, pre-recording. So, future me is probably playing it. Except I don't know when my shipment's coming in, so it might not be till the end of the day. But this is a huge deal. A brand new console for Nintendo, and really, like, no other console before it. I don't need to tell you about this console. I'm sure you've heard about the Nintendo Switch. But it's truly remarkable what this console is and what this could mean for the future of Nintendo. So far, what we've been seeing is a really confident Nintendo in their games and this system, of course. I mean, even there was this leak a little bit back that the show floor for the E3, like the setup or whatever, was kind of like leaked, and basically the area that they're going to be renting out, or whatever they call it, it's going to be in similar scope and size to Breath of the Wild's area from last year's E3. So, based on that, it looks like Nintendo's going to have a really big E3 presence, again, like they did last year. Which is awesome, and it just goes to show how much they're going to be putting into this Switch. Because, I mean, obviously, probably they'll show off maybe a little bit of 3DS, assuming they're going to keep that alive. Because it seems like it anyways. This is the first E3 that the Switch will be at. It'll be in its first year of it being out. Usually we see a console before it comes out at an E3, for example, where they release it or announce about it. But we've never seen it at E3, so this will be not only in its first year, but its first presence at E3. And that just goes to show that they're going to be really pushing this console. I don't need to tell you that. I think this is an important time for Nintendo to really take advantage of the momentum throughout this first launch window and really keep it going to keep people buying this console. But honestly, the real purpose of this video is just to talk about the future of the Switch itself and how it's going to affect the gaming industry, or at least Nintendo for that matter. It has always been ever since like the Game Boy era, it's always been developers working on handheld titles, developers working on the console titles. And even when third parties and licensed games like the Lego games and whatnot, they would have separate versions on consoles, and then like the DS line and everything would have its own separate version that have sometimes minor differences, sometimes be entirely different game. And now with the Switch, there's no longer a need for that, assumedly. You can develop just one version of a game, and that will be the game they can take on the go as well as play on the console. Yes, there could be a little bit like a sticky situation where, because some handheld games are usually developed for that in mind, and you know, console games are obviously developed for longer play sessions and not pick up and play. So potentially in handheld mode, it could unlock some sort of feature that lets you save more frequently or something like that within a game. I mean, it's a game-by-game basis, but that's just a little thing I just wanted to note. But I think the thing I'm most excited for is all of Nintendo's developers, all their teams that work on games and projects, they can all work on one console all together to get tons of games coming out every year. Well, usually it's like 4 or 5 on handheld and 4 or 5 on a home console. Now we might be getting 10 all on one console, which is insane. That is so many games in one console, at least from the first party developer of Nintendo. That's awesome! I know growing up for me anyways, I remember games being like, oh, well that's on handheld, but I really rather just play games on my console. I don't really want to play with my handheld lately, so I'll get a console game instead of a handheld game, or vice versa. Or sometimes it'd be like, oh man, I wish I had a, 3DS, because, this game looks awesome. Too bad I only have my Wii or Wii U or whatever. Now that won't be the case. If you just get the Switch, you can get every single game that comes to it. There's no, oh, I wish I had this instead of that. Like, for example, like a Mario Party. It's not like, oh, I wish this Mario Party on 3DS wasn't just a handheld experience. This would be so much more fun in a couch co-op gameplay. That problem with the Switch potentially could be no longer one. Like, that's something I'm so excited for. That Nintendo could be outputting so many more games per year, and not just to shoot out more games, of course still really quality games. Then now you don't have to worry about, oh, if I have this versus that. It's just, you have the Nintendo Switch, that's it. You can play all of Nintendo's games. As far as the 3DS, like I said, I touched on it earlier, I feel like they're gonna keep it going, at least throughout this first year of the Switch. Because I know we've already got Fire Emblem coming out next month, and I think there was something else maybe announced for it coming up. I can't remember exactly. They're still going to lean on that just as a backup, I guess. It's just still a steady stream of revenue because there's a, big install base with 3DS. So it only makes sense to keep putting it out while they're, you know, experimenting essentially and playing with their brand new console. Granted, we don't know how successful it's going to be just yet. For what it looks like, it's going to do pretty well. I mean, as far as what I can tell and what I've been hearing around. But we'll never know until it's already happened, you know? That'll be at least a month from now before we'll know any concrete details, at least about like the launch and how much is sold at launch and first month sales, everything like that. Another thing I do want to touch on is the unique features of the Switch itself, not only just being handheld, portable, and home console experience at the same time, the fact that you have two detachable controllers that you can hand to a friend and have local co-op almost anywhere you go. Matter of fact, you can do local co-op even using your own Switch with someone else's Switch, kind of like, you know, download play with like DS's and stuff like that. And I think that could lead to some awesome potential. Like, for example, one game I cannot wait to see on the Switch is a Monster Hunter title. I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. Traditionally, handheld Monster Hunters have done a lot better because you can play with friends and move it around and just continue to play wherever. And then they've had a few console experience ones. I think there was even one on the Wii U. But for some reason, those ones just don't do as well. But we still never had a true way to see this, you know, game and world in a 1080p HD. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to go over to Nick's house, play some Monster Hunter together, have one of us on the TV, or even both of us on our own Switches. That's going to be amazing. Or even third-party games, like, for example, the Borderlands series. I'm a pretty big fan of those games. And the idea of being able to, like, each of us having our own Switch, playing local multiplayer together through the story or something, that seems like so much fun. There's so much potential for that aspect. Then, of course, like I was mentioning, the detachable controllers, being able to use just one Switch, or just being able to use just one Switch for multiplayer. Now, we've seen a lot of indie titles already taking advantage of this, with like almost everyone in the Nindies presentation saying there was some sort of co-op mode to be implemented, which makes so much sense because you have two controllers at all times, which is too perfect for this console. Honestly, co-op gaming is one of my favorite things. I love playing one-on-one with someone else, either being a versus or even working together for a common goal. And the fact that it's built into the hardware will only influence developers to make games of that vein, and I can't wait for that. That sounds like so much fun. Snipper Clips was completely off my radar at first, and well, I guess I'm getting it today, but yeah, I was never planning on getting it, or maybe I was thinking about getting the demo, but after watching a little bit more and hearing a little more about it, I'm really excited for Snipper Clips. Granted, it's a smaller title game, it's no Zelda, of course I'm going to be spending more time with that. But if I have somebody over to come check out the Switch, we'll mess around with Zelda, but if we want to play together, I think I'm going to bust out Snipper Clips, because I think that co-op experience looks so much fun, where you can like chop each other and like change your shapes, you know, to try to solve puzzles. I think that can lead to tons of fun possibilities. I mean, we've already seen, I know a lot of people have some ideas around the internet for some games that the Switch can take advantage of, like a two-player, kind of Four Swords Adventures Zelda game. Of course, Double Dash or something along the lines of that, where two people are racing in the same car, one throwing items and, you know, punching. I think this is truly the start of something great. Nintendo's been saying for years that they've been planning and talking about, you know, outreaching their IPs to theme parks, which we've seen in some of the concept art for Orlando Studios, or not Orlando Studios, Universal Studios, there it is. There's some talk about TV shows and movies. Amiibo, of course, was a big initiative. And I think all this planning and stuff starts now. The dawn of a new Nintendo starts today with the Nintendo Switch. This is the final part of Iwata's legacy. This is what he had been working on for years and years throughout the Wii U's life cycle, all the while knowing that the console wasn't doing well and knew he had to make some sort of solution to bring Nintendo back into the limelight, back into consumers' minds, and this is what it was. This is the Nintendo Switch, and I feel like everything to follow the Nintendo Switch will be all that what we've been hearing. You know, the theme park will come out in the next 4 years or something like that. We've already been seeing the start of mobile games. They'll start incorporating even more of those. Television, movies, I'm sure there's already stuff in the works that we'll maybe start hearing about now. I think this first year they'll really focus on the Switch. They'll continue to broaden their audience across the entertainment industry. And I think this, I don't know, I can't say that this will be like the heydays of the Wii or even the NES for that matter. Or maybe it could be. I really don't know what we're getting into. All I know though is this is the start of something new, something brand new, something fresh for Nintendo. I really don't see this mirroring anything like the Wii U's life cycle, whether it's launch or how it had lackluster, or it had big gaps in games, all that kind of stuff. I really feel like Nintendo got their stuff together and they know what they're doing this time. And they're not going to mess this up. They know that this is not their only chance. If the Switch does fail, they probably could at least do another. They could definitely work on a new console and try to output that again. But I really don't feel like that's going to happen this time. They're really going all in on this console, even more than they did with the Wii U. Because with the Wii U, I really feel like they kind of just slapped Wii on it and hope people would buy it just because of brand recognition alone. We've seen all the Breath of the Wild scores from yesterday, and nearly all of the critics are giving it raving reviews. 10 out of 10s almost across the board. It's insane. And this game could very well be one of the best games of all time, and a game that we will continue to talk about in discussions for decades to come as a reference point in history to when we talk about games in the future. Which blows my mind that in a few hours I'll be playing that game. Well, you guys might be already playing it, which, if you are, what better way to launch Nintendo into a new era, a new generation, a new console? It makes perfect sense to start it all with Breath of the Wild. I am so excited for the future to come. It's going to be so much fun, and it is so perfect that this is the same year that I'll have the opportunity to go to E3 and start working in the ambassador program. It's so awesome. This is going to be a great future ahead, guys, and I'm so excited. But let me know in the comments, what are you guys most excited for with the future of Nintendo and the Switch? Do you think it's going to leave as big of an impact as I am posing? Or do you think it'll be just another wash in the bucket? Or do you think it'll be something in the middle where they'll do pretty good, but it might not make as big as an impact as what they were saying about VR anyways? And speaking of VR, I mean, Nintendo did say that they were experimenting with that with the Switch. Anyways, give this video a huge, awesome like, and if you haven't already, subscribe for tons on Nintendo Switch, Breath of the Wild. So, I'm probably playing Breath of the Wild right now, so you might not see me for a little bit. But I think tomorrow, I plan on doing, because I'm going to unbox, because I got the Master Edition, so I plan on unboxing that. Hopefully I'm going to edit that and get it up by tomorrow, and then I'll just be in Hyrule the rest of the day, so don't expect to hear much from me after that. But I'll of course be back soon with tons on Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch. It's going to be a great year, guys, and I cannot wait for this journey ahead. Anyways, I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! Alright, time to play Zelda.